7:46 right now. Two pivotal events for Democrats taking place today. First, President Joe Biden will address the nation tonight for the first time since Sunday's decision to step out of the presidential race.
And then later on this morning, the Democratic National Committee will vote on rules to formalize the nomination process for its presidential candidates. Joining us this morning is the chairman of New York State's Democratic Committee, Jay Jacobs. So good morning to you, Mr. Jacobs. Thanks for being here on an important morning.
Well, thank you and good morning.
So let's begin with the question of, have you met with other state Democratic leaders, I guess, right, following Sunday's announcement and the general consensus among everybody in the moments after about President Biden's decision to step down?
Well, certainly everybody had a bit of sadness about President Biden's decision, but an understanding that I think it was the right decision. We admire the fact that President Biden put his party and his country above his personal interest. And that's a hard thing to do. It's easy to say, much harder to do. But as soon as that happened, everyone galvanized support behind the vice president. We were all enthusiastic. And yes, I was on the phone with other party leaders and elected officials throughout the state. Frankly, several across the country, just to see where everybody was going and to make sure that we were all going in the right direction.
Yeah, and a lot of people are very much anticipating President Biden's speech tonight as he addresses the nation. What are you expecting to hear from him say?
Well, I certainly will expect to hear him recap the achievements of his administration, all of the things that he has gotten done for this country. So often I talk to Republicans that I know who maintain the president has done nothing for America in 3.5 years, and that's just so off base. It's just so untrue. He's done probably more than any president in the last 60 years, and I hope he recaps that tonight. And of course, he'll, I'm sure, indicate how sorry he is that he's not going to be making this run, but he's doing it for what he believes to be in the best interests of the country.
Yeah, Mr. Jacobs, can you take us back to Sunday night and some of the phone calls that you were part of? I know that you came out with a statement saying that this New York State delegation is behind Harris, but there were members like Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, who did not come out and endorse Kamala Harris in the moments after in a number of interviews, right? And then he said on Monday morning, well, I spoke to Jay Jacobs. I'm a general. I'm a soldier. I follow my general. Can you tell us about that conversation?
Well, I think what people mistake sometimes is that, choosing and making a decision on who should be the next president of the United States and who you're going to endorse for that, that's about as big a decision as you can make. And people don't often like to make it in haste. They want a little bit of time. They want to see and think about it. And that's all that Eric Adams was doing. He just wanted to make sure. When we spoke late in the evening on Sunday, he gave me a call. We had a good conversation about it. He definitely liked the vice president. He saw that as the best option. He said to me that he would be coming out the next morning, which he did. So I wouldn't ascribe to it any particular hesitation. It was just a part of the planning. And I had a number of elected officials who did that, frankly, just wanted to make sure that the timing was right on a decision that they knew was right.
Yeah. Well, Vice President Harris is the presumptive nominee for your party. Do you think that she's going to remain unchallenged?
Yeah, I don't see any serious challenge coming up at the convention or in the vote preceding the convention. There may be people who have interest, but a serious challenger needs to demonstrate that they have the commitment of 300 delegates nationwide, no more than 50 from any individual state. I don't think there's anybody that's going to qualify for that.
So can you take us to what's happening today, right? Of course, that we mentioned the president is going to make that national address tonight, but the Democratic National Committee also voting on these nomination rules today, and that can get into the weeds for some voters at home. Can you explain what exactly that means?
Well, I just gave you, I think, one of the major rules, the qualification process for being a person who gets nominated. You have to have that minimum number of delegates behind you. You can't just stand up and take the time of the convention having 2 delegates. So we want to make sure that someone is substantive. So the Democratic Party's Rules and Bylaws Committee, which has been, for decades shepherding this process, is going to outline very clearly and then pass the specific rules for the convention. Nothing new, nothing different than we've done before, but make sure that they're outlined. This is all part of the process prescribed in our bylaws.
Okay, so there's a virtual vote, right? But could there still be an open convention? Is that a possibility?
Well, you know, anything's a possibility. I'm sure, you know, that I can't say that it's not a possibility, but a likelihood or a probability, no, I just don't see it. Everyone I talk to is enthusiastic, excited, and coalescing around Vice President Harris. And I haven't seen this kind of enthusiasm and unity, frankly, in quite a long time. We had a call the other night that the governor was instrumental in putting together, asked me to round up all of the delegates. We did that. She made a full and you know, very clear endorsement of Vice President Harris, and led the delegation. The delegation was unanimous, as I could tell. We didn't do a hand vote or a ballot vote, but we did a voice vote, and there was not one nay vote. And this comes from all, you know, the full spectrum of the Democratic Party. So getting everybody on board together is unique and different. And I think that makes this a very exciting time because we all understand how important it is to defeat Donald Trump and the MAGA extreme Republicans in this upcoming election.
That's the Zoom call you're referring to, right? I don't mean to zero in on the mayor, but was he on that call? Because there were some rumblings that he wasn't on that call.
Yeah, and that was, you know, the mayor spoke to me afterwards. He didn't get the information on that call. That's really from my, you know, from my office, and that's a mistake in the sense that I guess the contact information we didn't have. In fact, when he called me the night before, I didn't take the call because I didn't recognize the number, and then it called back again. It was about 5 to 12, and I just figured somebody is really urgent to speak to me. So I picked it up. It was the mayor. He had changed his number. So I think that's part of the problem, and that was a glitch on our end. But that had absolutely nothing to do with his deciding to favor, you know, the vice president.
Understood. Jay Jacobs, I know you've been busy, so appreciate you making the time this morning to explain all of this to us. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you.